good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Want to Miss Gabby? All right. Let's start with a little bit of war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So good morning. Hope you slept well. I woke up this morning for the first time in a long time and could have went right back to sleep. I was on that tip. That might be where I go after the show. That said, I'm glad to be here. I'm fully awake, aware, and alive. I'm not crashing out. I'm not crying. I'm looking the truth dead in the eyes of what is actually happening and saying, all of this could have been prevented with DC statehood. All of it. Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. deserve statehood, so they have the same protections as other parts of the country. Because here's the thing, and I'm going to make sure I say it loud and proud. What is happening in Washington, D.C. is completely legal. And people are crashing the fuck out because the President of the United States, look up the Home Act. He has the ability to federalize. All the things he's doing is allowed to do. And I just want to continue to point out that individuals are making bad decisions. So we can say that with our full chest. Hey, there are some people that are working for these orgs that are fucking beating up protesters and shit. Those people are gonna get they're gonna get arrested and charged. I know it. I know you're like, oh, they should never fucking. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. People are stupid. If you haven't figured this out yet, that like half of this country's motherfucking dumb, and then the other half is even fucking dumber. If you haven't figured that out yet, welcome to America. Okay? But the hard reality is when you watch what are most of those people doing in Washington D.C. and if you don't say it looks like there's snooping around cars near the Capitol. He's scared. Donald Trump has. Here's the way I think about it. DC statehood was prevented. Puerto Rican statehood was prevented because Republicans would never win another fucking election. So that Donald Trump could do what he's doing in Washington, D.C. right now, which is fucking dumb. He can. One thing that you have got to get in your brain hole, he can send people. He can say, go do that shit. Go there. Let me be more specific. He can tell people to go there, but he can't tell them to do shit. Like he wanted a parade on his birthday, and he wanted them to march and shit, and they just showed up and walked by. I want to continue to point this shit out. Look up the Home Act, understand that Washington D.C. doesn't have statehood, so there aren't like states rules that apply here. And so what happens is the president of the United States he has some authority over the D.C. Guard. He has some authority. God, this is a Fallout thing. I feel like my podcast that I'm talking about right now could just be in Fallout, where I'm saying like actually the president can mobilize the DC Guard and he can federalize the DC police and he also can pull in the FBI uh, and turn them into night security, which is about what they're doing. And yes, Not a single fucking shot fired. And I want to continue to point out, if the U.S. was going to use the military on its own people, they would be using fucking drones and UAVs and fucking arty and fucking shooting at the shore from a ship. Why the fuck would I put a person in harm's way? So I want to continue to point this out, as not another fucking person dies. As no one has died. From the U.S. military, when they were in L.A., no one died. One person. There were hundreds of Marines, and there were 300 fucking Natty Guard, and Donald Trump. He's got it all. He can fucking pardon any service. No, no. The UCMJ. Your military career's over like that. You fuck up just this much, you'd be flying a cargo plane full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong. Thank you, Top Gun. You gotta play perfect. I just want to make sure everybody fucking knows. The reason Puerto Rico, it's racism, and right. Remember, one of the things that you're gonna hear this white cis male from fucking Indiana say pretty goddamn frequently. If you ever wondered why the fuck is Puerto Rico not a fucking racism? Why is Washington D.C. not a state? Racism. Washington D.C. is a melting pot. It's one of the most diverse places in the United States and the world. Um, it has the highest concentration of graduate, postgraduate, and doctorate. It has the highest concentration of Democrats, and it's 45% non-white, which makes it like super diverse. And to be perfectly honest, for the first time in 50 years, less than half of the, and I'm not. I just want to point this out because I'm that motherfucker. I'm not. I don't have a script. I ain't storyboarding shit. It's off the top of the motherfucking dome. So the thing about this situation is that, and I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, the reason that Washington D.C. is not a state is racism, and the fact that if D.C. is a state, uh, the Republicans will never win another fucking general election. Same thing with Puerto Rico. They would never vote Republican because Republicans are racist as fuck and have treat Puerto Ricans like shit. I want to point out that there's a comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, got up on stage at that Klan rally at Madison Square Garden in October. Today is today our ninth anniversary. By the way, happy fucking anniversary. Sorry, I came in with gifts. Um, yeah. And one of the things that you should never feel like you have to do here is use code words. Just so you know, I don't speak in code. I'm not on active duty anymore. And I'm not scared. And you shouldn't be either. You should just say whatever the fuck it is that you were trying to say. Yeah. One of the things that I'm tired of is people capitulating to terrorists and just being like, okay, we won't use those words, we'll use code words. Hmm. You're 3 minutes late. What did you miss? I made a video this morning about the reason that Donald Trump is able to do what he's able to do right now in Washington D.C. is completely within the. It's completely within the law. He. It's just because D.C. is not a state. This should renew calls for D.C. to have statehood and Puerto Rico to have statehood, because none of this would be happening. None of this would be happening if Puerto Rico and D.C. had statehood. I'm one of those people where I'm obsessed with being right. Upset. You have to, if you want to be great, you can't be wrong. You just got to be right all the time. Because there's people that are going to call for violence. There's going to be people that crash the fuck out. I watched Chris Valenti crash the fuck out. You know, I want to continue to point out, when you become self-obsessed and have delusions of grandeur, it's going to crash down on you. If you ever, there's a reason why I say, like, I'm not seeking public office. I can certainly advise people because I have PTSD, so my emotions are broken. So I can remain level headed kind of no matter what fucking happens. And I can threat assess, which is something most fucking politicians have no fucking concept of. You're welcome, Ange. Gabby said 9 months, you're full term baby. You goddamn right. Dina makes a great point. Dina says Donald Trump doing this just shows us that he could have called in the National Guard on January 6th and stopped the whole thing. Exactly right, Miss Dina. So instead of crying, instead of dividing us up, which is the two things I seen this morning is people crashing the fuck out, crying, and fucking dividing us up. Like I followed this guy, this person that I enjoyed them, and they frequently asked for help, and then they posted that the military is now ACAB. And I shared their mutual aid requests for the better part of 9 months without ever interacting with them. And again, I want to iterate that what Donald Trump's doing with the DC Guard and the DC Police and the feds is completely legal. And they don't have real bullets in their guns, and they're not engaging, and they wouldn't. Because if the US military is going to attack a populace, they're not going to use bodies. They're going to use drones and UAVs and airstrikes and shit. Like what the fuck are we talking about? Like the fact that like yes, the Home Act gave the president more power over the DC Guard and over the DC Police. And so he does have the ability to like use them, but he still cannot get them to do stuff like shooty shooty bang bang. That that's not happening. Sure, some people are getting fucking raised, RAZED, raised, and that's not good. But yeah, this should push for a call for statehood for Washington D.C. and Puerto Rico. If the Democrats were working in unison, they would point out that Puerto Rico and Washington D.C. deserve statehood. And the reason that they don't have statehood is racism. The reason Donald Trump's doing this in Washington, D.C., and then he said Chicago and New York and fucking L.A. is because those are fucking diverse cities where there's a high percentage chance if someone gets unalived, they're a Democrat or a person of color, and either way he's satiated. There's a reason he does it the way he does it, but he doesn't have the power he thinks he has. He's weak and fucking powerless. The president doesn't actually have any power, really. The fucking power that he's using, he's abusing. Like, it's a gross abuse of power. Like, that's not what the president's for. He doesn't have the power of the fucking purse. So anything involving funding that he's been doing, understand it's not about results. It's the shock and awe. And so, yes, he has said these things. But when we look at what he did, he was racist and he golfed. Say that. Instead of crashing the fuck out, he was just really racist and he golfed a lot. And he was a rapist. That's it. That's it. And a terrible businessman. hmm And he's powerless. He can't get anyone to do anything for him. They can't get ICE to work. Like, ICE can't meet their quotas. It's because we don't have that many fucking illegal immigrants. It's because we've had democratic control for 12 of the last 16 years, and Democrats push for people to get your fucking shit. Get your pass your citizenship test. So just understand This white cis male is very frequently going to say, it's just racism, right? That's the entire reason that this is happening. And then you're going to be like, what? Unravel that, Jared. And it's like, oh, okay. Washington, D.C., it does not have statehood because it's like 76% Democrat, because it's 45% non white, and because until this year, for the last 50 years, Washington, D.C. has been black as fuck. That's why. That's why he federalized the fucking police and called up the National Guard. It's because he's racist. If a black person's gonna die, it's gonna be in DC or LA, or you know what I mean? Because he can't do it with ICE. The thing I've tried to tell everyone, I'm not a war hero, but I know some, and they're broken people. These are people that what they did was valiant and fucking good, net good. And it's not like they were going around fucking shooting babies and shit and they're broken. Do you understand? Even when it's justified, even when they tried to kill us and we didn't fire on them until they fired on us. And we just had better gear and weapons and fucking explosives. And so they killed people and it was justified and it broke them. I'm talking about the Marines that I served with. What do you think's happening to those ICE agents? I'm not empathizing with them. They break very fast. Their brain breaks very fast. And they're not very smart. No, none of the people that are doing this are very smart. And I sense an even higher like self unaliving rate with ICE agents. And a lot of people are going to be like, that's what they deserve. And again, I just like to say, fuck you. There's a lot of people out there. Yep. There's a lot of people out there that would say shit like it'd be an honor to work for the president, and it's like, not this guy. Nobody wants to work for him. He's the worst leader. He's only thinking about himself and trying to protect himself. And it's he we live in the information age. He should have died 20 years ago. If he dies 20 years ago, he gets away with it. But now he lives in the digital age and all of that information's out in the world. And everyone's seen all these pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. It's killing him. And good. Good. And he's gonna fight with every fiber of his being to keep the fucking Epstein list out of the public eye until he dies. And then his kids are gonna take all that money that he's made and they're still gonna build that resort in fucking Gaza. That shit's still gonna happen. I'm Hey, you know what? You know what my hope is? Are you ready for this? I didn't think about this until just now. My hope is that he never sees any progress on that resort in Gaza and he dies before ground is broken. And then I hope his children spend all of their money to build that fucking resort and then I hope they die by IED on that resort. That's what I hope. I hope they spend all of their money. I hope they decide to live there. I hope they die by IED. I hope it meaning I hope it's never safe. I hope it's never may you never know a full night's rest if you follow through with this. And the thing about it is they're already not sleeping. There's a reason every day when I get on here I tell everybody, Jared, did you know he actually stalked Lady Diana? Princess Di? Oh, he could never. Princess Di is a fucking bad bitch. I remember watching Princess Di when I was a kid and looking at my mom like, how you see this like nice white lady be like not a piece of shit and you don't model your life after her? What the fuck? I'm not. Are you shocked he tried to court Lady Di and failed? Stalked her. Sorry. I want to apologize for somebody else said stalk and I immediately reduced that to tried to court. Those are not the same thing. Yeah. So I want to make sure on top of Old Smoky, right, as we're dressing down all of this, I just want to say that it doesn't have to be this way. Um, we do not have to lower ourselves to this regime and its tactics and like what it's doing. Um, I want, I wanted real bad to see Kamala Harris win, and from the moment she conceded, I knew something's going on. The longer we are into this, I still think something's going on internationally. But what I think is that our democracy is fucking broken. We are officially post democracy. You have no expectation of not having an illegal search and seizure conducted on you at any point. You do not have the rights that you did prior to January 20th. Um, the good news is though is that they're scared of you. They're scared of what you're capable of. So get 8 hours of sleep a night, please, dear God, and drink water and eat right and exercise. You never know when your card's gonna get pulled. And the thing that I try to tell everyone is that you're probably just gonna have to run. One of the things they don't teach, I always thought it was kind of funny. One of the things they don't teach uh, in the Marine Corps is how to run away, retreat. It's, you're not going to do that when you've got a whole bunch of people fighting. But when you are by yourself, they implement what's called SEER. And Staff Sergeant Sandy, man, my staff sergeant, when I got to the fleet, I got a staff sergeant that got sent to me from the heavens above, and his name was Staff Sergeant Sandy, and he was a big motherfucker too. So imagine my big dumb ass. So take away this beard, right? My big dumb ass and another big motherfucker, except he's got like this thing on his collar, and he just so happened to be filling an officer's billet in my company. So he was our platoon commander, which is like a lieutenant's job, and he's a staff sergeant, like a non-rate. So not a non-rate, but a staff NCO. And he was also a staff sergeant in 6 years. He's a bad mofo. He did Silent Drill Platoon straight out of boot camp, and then he went Fast Company, which is like the SWAT team of the Marine Corps, which is what? And then he was made the platoon commander in 2-2, which was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. Okay, and he became a warrant officer, so he's probably like still in the service. Okay, um, yeah, we didn't have a true say. We just think we did. Yeah, they've manipulated elections forever. Yeah, it's a modicum of capitalism. Remember, it's a broken system. There's a reason that I said, "Oh, we need a new political party." You know why? Because yeah, it's been the corporations in charge the whole time. Kamala's coming back. Taylor Swift's releasing new music. Females are coming back hard. I have hope for the future. It's a spark. I have faith in female power. Yeah, Gabby, my hope is that Taylor Swift's appearance on the New Heights podcast last night. My hope is that it's the most watched show ever, and that people realize how much more powerful you are when you're not a bigot, and you have people that are on your left and your right that have your back because they know they're not going to have to shoot you in the back, right? And again, I want to continue to point out it's the media not asking, and it's anyone not talking about it. Executive Order 13848, the prosecution of election crimes document, the Justice Manual. Like, there's a reason we sat here and read these things and said, this has to happen. It can't not happen. It not happening, and everyone, I mean, think about all the people that have come and gone in the 9 months that we've been hosting this show. So many people have given up and crashed the fuck out and come back and crash the fuck out again. And I've just sat here every day and just said, you know, you could crash out or you could direct your energy. You could learn some things. You could develop a repertoire. You could build an entire catalog of the things that you learn and spit it out in a few minutes and turn it into your lifelong elevator pitch. This is exactly who I am and forever who I am. I'm not a bigot. I refuse to capitulate to the weakest of emotions that I have. I'm not going to look at a situation and blame the fact that it's a woman in charge. I'm not going to look at a situation and say, oh, they're black. I'm never going to do those things. Oh, they're gay. Oh, they're trans. I'm never going to blame someone for something they can't control and hold it against them because that's what being racist is. That's what being sexist is. That's what being a homophobe is. That's what being a transphobe is. It's being afraid of something that you can't control and then holding something against someone that they cannot control. Because I have had gay friends, trans friends, black friends, Asian friends, Indian friends, and you know what they've all told me privately? If I could just switch with you, I would. Life would be so much easier because you have no one. So I got an email this morning from a Reddit post that I engaged with, and with the drones are around, alien related. Do you think there's any truth to billionaires knowing they can profit off electricity? So one of the things about the drones that I guess we need to revisit is that you have to have a permit for that and submit a flight plan. And given the fact that the FAA wasn't like up in arms about the drones and the military, excuse me, and like I don't know, certain police departments weren't shooting drones out of the fucking sky, it tells me that federal government agencies, the military, police departments now have these drones and they're using them. 4% of the drones that you see are personally owned. There's like a 80% chance if you see a drone, it's not a government drone, but it's like government, military, police. And understand that there's also the military industrial complex. There are a whole bunch of companies that develop stuff for the military. Hmm? Yep. Yep. And again, I just want to point out, if those drones were alien, they'd have got shot out of the fucking sky. This is America, bitch. What are you talking about? If those drones didn't have a permit and hadn't submitted a fucking flight plan, they'd have got shot out of the fucking sky. What are you talking about? We just had in Indiana, we just had fighter jets scrambled to a personally owned aircraft that flew too close to, I can't remember if they flew too close to downtown Indy or Purdue or Lafayette. I can't remember, but it was recent. Where the Air Force Base Grissom in north central Indiana was scrambling jets to that, and it's just like, did you hear of jets being scrambled when all them drones was around? No, no, no. Surveillance. Remember, the primary purpose for a drone is surveillance. Profit off electricity in the pyramids. I don't know, man. Zeke said, I saw District 9. I did see the movie, but I'm joking. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, isn't that the plot of District 9? God, I love. Listen, so life was really hard. Has been, life is really hard. And I went to the VA in 2008 and said, I don't feel fucked up yet, but I think I'm fucked up. And my doctor was getting ready to retire. He's an old man, and he said, "It's good of you to know that you're gonna have some trouble down the road." And this was in '08, so this is like 17 years ago, kids. Uh, it was the closest to a father figure I ever had. Saw him 3 times. But he said, "Look, gotta stop smoking cigarettes, stop dipping, stop drinking, and start taking care of yourself. You aren't gonna feel any better until you start doing the right things. Those habits that you build in the military are meant to keep you alive and to keep your morale up. If your basic needs are met, like you have a place to rest your head that's safe, you're getting 3 meals a day, you're constantly surrounded by your like-minded individuals working towards a common goal, uh, and you learn, like, gotta stay hydrated because you can't fall the fuck out of like work, right? Gotta make sure you eat 3 squares because you gotta have the gas to do what you're being tasked with, right? And know that like it's a very physical job, right? But when you get out, there's none of that physical component. There's none of that constantly being surrounded by like-minded individuals headed towards the same goal. There's not that. There's going to work at a company. I want to go work for somebody who works for somebody who works for somebody who works for shareholders. You know what I'm saying? Most likely, most of us. And it's hard. You felt like you had purpose and direction, and that shit is gone. And now I have Best Buy. You know what I mean? And it's not like there's like union, right? It's not like you're like, that's why most people go to church. One of the things that I learned as a awake, aware, and alive child is that most adults don't actually believe in God. They just got to get out of the house every now and then. And they said, fuck it. Why not Bible study? Why not church on Sunday? I don't believe in it. I mean, it's nice, you know? I don't believe in that shit. I just do it so I can get out of the house. Tell me how many of that is you or your parents. Because it was my childhood, and you can't take it away from me. You can't tell me them fucking adults was lying to me. They lied to my mother. My mom ran the fucking nursery. They dropped their kids off and went had breakfast at fucking Baker Square. And you know why? Because one day, my dad never let me drive to church. He said we ride as a family. I'll drive us, mom and dad in the front seat, boys in the back, right? Until the day you die, right? And so we get to church one day, okay? And it was fucking packed when we got there. And because my mom was the key holder to the nursery, there were literally like parents standing outside the church with their kids waiting to get in. My mom walks past all them people, opens the fucking door, good morning everybody, walks in, and my dad said, don't get out of the car. And we just sat there. And I swear to God on my mom, 50 fucking 45, 50 babies later, all them cars left the parking lot. It's 10 till. Where's all them cars going, Dad? And he's like, let's take a ride. So we left church. And this is Mooresville, Indiana, the United Methodist Church. 1,500 people in that fucking, in that sanctuary. In them pews. And my daddy's like, I bet I know where they're at. And we went and found them. Mm-hmm. They were having breakfast and missing church service and using my mom for free a babysitter. And bull-faced fucking lied. When my dad and my brother and I came back, and then we went in and told my mom that we spotted them. They're having breakfast at a restaurant today, missing church. About 50 parents. Mm-hmm. And it broke my mom. She was pretty upset. Mm-hmm. That she got used and lied to. And all those people were Christians. And could have swore up and down that they cared for each other and cared for my parents. My mom didn't believe us at first. It took her months to actually one day she told me at Applebee's. Or no, it's Chili's. She said, "Remember how you told me that you found all those people? I thought they were just going to park on the other side of the church. You said you and Dad and Justin saw them people having breakfast at like Baker Square and shit and Ruby Tuesday or whatever the fuck." And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I didn't believe you at first. I thought y'all were just being mean to me." And I was like, "Why the fuck would we do that?" So you gotta understand, everybody's fucked up. Everybody's fucked up. Everybody thinks everybody's out to get them, right? But my mom, because it was boys v girls, right? She kind of was just like, "Y'all are just saying that to get under my skin." No, that's the thing that many people in my life have mistaken me for, is someone who has time to fuck around like that. That's that's one of the things that people have mistaken me for, is somebody who fucks around. And that goes to my parents. Like, look at how my mom acted when my dad and my brother sat in the car and watched these people do that shit, and then went and fucking found where they went, and then came back and told my mom, and she didn't believe us. Yeah, we talked about that days ago, Cease. But yeah, uh, my mom crashed out, but it was against the youth group, and then I had to go tell her, like, it's not these kids, these are my friends. Like, God, I know you're upset, but these aren't the people. And she's like, are you fucking sure? Like, yeah, these are like kids that have slept at her house and shit. Like, no. But yeah, I just want to make sure you understand, like, Slipknot has this song called "People Equal Shit." It's a banger. Like, yep. And so understand, it's just like what must have said that. No, you was here, Zeus. You was here, Cease. You're just aging. Why did I'm just giving you a hard time, Cease? Why do these crazies want to force the rest of us to live? Oh, because they're miserable. See, most people have made a terrible decision at some point in their life, a debilitating, bad decision. I'm not talking about like they made themselves disabled. I'm talking about they raped someone, they stole, they they beat someone up, they bullied, they any number of fucking things. Many people have done some fucked up thing in their life and it broke them. And your brain is fucking powerful. And your brain protects you a lot. It does a lot for you. And so there's a lot of motherfuckers out here that did something fucking wrong and it broke their shit. And the only way they didn't just blow their brains out is they rebuilt themselves and made themselves into something else. And Donald Trump has dementia and every day he wakes up and has to rebuild himself and make himself into something powerful because he's not powerful. Because the president doesn't actually have power. I've said it before. I'll say it again. President of the United States does not have power. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And I think the powers that be, the true powerful people in the world, are dragging all this shit out, right? Until everyone's off the Trump train. Hmm. Caught up in aliens and the civilization begins to be the reason why democracy's dead. His brains are in his depends. Okay, that's funny. So I just want to make sure that we've had this conversation. Okay, I want to believe in aliens. You saw me say it. I want to. Mathematically, they should exist. But there's a line that I draw and I say, let's not cross this line. Okay? In our world, in the world we live in, we can't teleport matter. We can't fast travel. Um, our bodies have limits to how fast they can go in an object and live. And so I know that the world is so crazy that maybe aliens keeps creeping into your mind. Okay? And I just want to make sure that we have this conversation and say, uh, aliens are also going to be made of the same kind of stuff we're made of. And so if we can't get to them because we'll disintegrate, what makes you think they can get to us without disintegrating? Or are you willing to break certain rules and say, well, aliens are smarter than us and they could teleport and also they figured out how to fast travel? That's what happens in video games, dear. That's not real. We are talking about the transportation of mass across space. We are literally talking about something that's real. And your homeboy. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a child, and I had really good grades and test scores. Like I was the subject of someone's thesis when I was 4 for their PhD. And when I was at Purdue, I got to sit down with a 20-year astronaut. So again, just like when I was in the military, I ain't no fucking war hero. I wasn't a fucking astronaut, but I sat down with a recruiter that had been in fucking space. And he was like, why do you want to be an astronaut? And I was like, I want to find Earth 2. And he laughed. He was like, oh yeah? He was a black guy. He was a fucking sweetheart. You know what I noticed? He had pretty teeth. He had such pretty teeth. And he was just like, oh yeah? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure, at some point we'll be able to accelerate mass to the point where we could just get from point A to point B zippity quick, and we'll find like Earth 2, and we'll have to, mass transport, like, I don't know, like a 250,000 people at a time. And he was just like, okay, okay, let me tell you how it really works. Okay? Every now and then we hear a noise in space and we freak out because it could be aliens. And we investigate it, and you know what we find a lot of the time? A star has exploded and destroyed its nearby planets. We just don't have a fucking shred of evidence of alien life or where they've come from. Every now and then we hear a noise. And immediately, because I'm able to conduct math in my head, I'm like, so they exist. Mm-hmm. They're out there. Mm-hmm. We can get nowhere near them, and we cannot hear that. Yeah. So there are absolutely, we would be fucking insane. It would be literally insane to be like, humans are it. We are just, we are just it. No, 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 no. What's even crazier is that this galaxy might be inside a black hole. The Milky Way might be inside of a black hole. And there could be many other dimensionally similar galaxies, many of them. I want to play No Man's Sky now and just fly in one direction in space and move fast enough to see like this habitable planet, this habitable planet, this habitable planet. The problem is you would die before you get to the edge of the Milky Way. So reel that shit back in. Understand, we know they exist mathematically. There are habitable planets out there. There's tons of them. There's tons of them. There's big stars, big as ours, with planets nearby that have water on them and an atmosphere, and it could possibly host life. There could be aliens on that planet. There could be hundreds, thousands of species of humanoids on all of these habitable planets all over this massive, unending, fucking forever expanding galaxy. And we are getting further from each other, not closer. We're not closer to making contact with aliens. We're getting farther apart. That's because the galaxy is fucking expanding and people are fucking stupid. We wouldn't live to get to the edge of the galaxy. It'd take too long to get there, man. It's worse. It's just as dumb as let's go to terraform Mars. The fuck are we talking about? So I know you want to believe and you want to hear me and you want to believe most of what I say. You want to question a little bit. You want to be right and me be wrong every now and then. It gives you some sense of power over me. But the reality of the situation is I did the math. I went to school for data analytics. I wanted to be an astronaut. And I sat around and I doodled. And I was like, huh, oh, it'd take you 80 years to get to the edge of the galaxy. That's before you go into someone else's backyard. And that's if you were going as fast as you could go and you had an unlimited fuel supply. And once you break the edge of the galaxy, you go 100 million times faster, and there's all these things that you didn't even fucking think about. But the hard reality of it is, I want you to go watch a pilot under G-force. Go watch a video of a pilot under G-force and understand that it's not the turning, it's the speed. We can't fly that fast, man. Watch the beginning of Top Gun Maverick, where the greatest pilot ever. You watch his fucking like face melt and shit, and a fucking plane blow up. They're trying to explain it to you. We're more powerful than we could have ever imagined, and dumber than a box of fucking rocks. Swear to God on my mom. Hmm. It's probably better that way if people here are aware of a new planet with primitive tools. People will go and act like God on there. Yeah, people wanna like airdrop guns and shit. Yeah, like I you gotta be you gotta be realistic and also reasonable, right? So you have to say it would be unrealistic to say clearly we're the only planet with like millions of species of animals on it. That would be fucking dumb. That's dumb. Look at the infinite galaxy. You mean to tell me there ain't another star with a planet about the same distance away, with a star about the same temperature that we can measure? Yeah, there's tons of those. There's tons of those scenarios. They're called Goldilocks zones. Again, some of us were in Purdue's flight program. Some of us have studied data analytics at Purdue, and some of us are in the Reddit comments thinking like, man, maybe aliens are real. Even if they fucking were, we can't get out. We're trapped here. You know, we're trapped in this body. Um, Video games. Getting back to the core of what I wanted to talk about today on our anniversary, I wanted to talk about why I'm here, why I haven't just brained myself. Uh, Music, movies, art, seeing the people that I care about take a shot on themselves and trying to push them to be successful, helping other people when they're struggling, as long as they've been a good person, and choosing to be kind when I could be cruel, and video games and sports, um, and this community that we've built. Those are why I'm here. Obviously, like my wife and our dogs and our cats. And that's the woman I married, and the animals I'm responsible for. And I like my house. I don't treat her very good, but I've been trapped in this fucking depression. You know what I mean? Like I had to buy a house in the wake of the first Trump presidency, not necessarily in the wake, in the shadow. So like the capitulation of the American dream for me fell during a dark time. But what keeps me here is self-care. Is I I get a good night's sleep. I drink water. I eat right. I don't exercise as much as I should, but I run the dogs, you know, and it's good for them, and it feels good for me. You know what I mean? It's probably not enough. I probably need to do more. But again, I'm the only one walking my dogs. So again, I'm gonna keep pushing that button and saying like, through all of this, I learned self care, and nobody's gonna take care of you like you're capable of taking care of yourself. And we tend to forget that when we have like outside stressors. We wanna rage against the machine when we should be trying not to die. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about how um, you could get separated and your mission changes from an offensive nature to defensive nature where egress is important. And I'm using a lot of words that you don't understand. It was a different time. Like 20 years ago, we were in the middle of a fucking war. And they had to prepare you the best they could. And they tend to send people like me to SEER school. So I didn't go to SEER school, but I did like the workup to go to SEER school where they teach you how to survive, evade, resist, and escape. And so one of the things I've always been very careful to do is not lie, because like lying is stupid. I didn't go to SEER school. I had a staff sergeant that went to SEER school, and so he gave me like his logs and shit, and that's how we ran our PT was as though we were preparing to go to SEER school. So you tend to understand how important maps are and how important navigation is, and understanding how important it is to evaluate a water source, and how important it is to find a food source, and how important it is to understand where you can bed down, and how important it is to understand when you can sleep, and how it's important to understand evading and survival and resistance and escaping, ultimately escaping if you're held captive. Nobody else is going to take care of you. Nobody, you notice, ain't nobody coming around and handing you a bottle of water and saying hydrate. Ain't nobody setting up setting a plate in front of you and saying eat up. Ain't nobody ain't nobody holding the door open and saying come get in, we got to go to the gym. We got to get on the treadmill. We probably need to put a backpack on and put some weight in that bitch. And we probably need to carry something that has the same weight and feel of a rifle and run with that shit for a long fucking time until you fucking can't. And wake up the next goddamn day and do that shit too. Because a lot of you motherfuckers, a lot of motherfucking people think it's just gonna be a goddamn standoff. And it's fucking not. It's gonna be a lot of long distance shit. A lot of arty, a lot of fucking drones and UAVs. If the US military is ever gonna fire on American people. I would not put boots on the ground if I was going to turn Americans into targets. So when you see soldiers on the ground, no, that's actually a good thing. They're not trained to assault a civilian population. They're not trained to do martial law. And they don't have real bullets in their guns. So people are just stupid. You know what I mean? It's like people want to say we should go to the gun range when you should be on the treadmill. You don't fit in body armor. You got to create a smaller target. I talked to a 11-year Marine the other day. Served from 85 to 96. Was a staff sergeant. And do you know what he informed me of? He's 5'8", 130 pounds. Still. Soaking wet. I'm 6'4". I weigh 300 pounds. And I have no known health issues. And the only reason I have no known health issues is because I've been physically active for 41 of 42 years of my life. You know what I mean? I've always been physically active. Now, I have a job that I sit down at all day, and we sit down to host this show and shit. But I'm on my feet. Like, I was sweating before I sat down this morning because it's humid outside, and I had just taken the dogs out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't storyboard my shit. I don't write my content. It's one of the things that I've chosen to do is that I've said I could be uh, trying to make money. I could do that. But what if I just spoke when I felt like speaking? When I had something to say that wasn't destructive? What if I just used that as an operating guideline? Right? Like when all this shit's going on in DC, instead of freaking the fuck out and crashing out, I say, you know what is really important to point out? DC needs statehood, and so does Puerto Rico, and none of this would have happened if DC had statehood. And the entire reason that Donald Trump chose to do this in Washington D.C. is it's not a double-edged sword; it's two swords. But on the one hand, D.C. is wildly diverse. It has the highest concentration of Democrats in the United States, and also the highest concentration of non-white people. And up until this past year, it also, for the last 50 years, had the highest concentration of black people in the United States. So if you ever wondered, why did the president do this in Washington, D.C. first, that's on one hand. On the other hand, he's allowed to. So it's racist, and but also he's allowed to. And so just be careful. I like it, Stace. You know what? You know what? I love to see. I had a friend that I guy that a guy that I was friends with for a long time, and we used to go to movies together. And sometimes it'd be me and him, and sometimes it'd be me and his kids, and me and his kids and his wife. I wasn't married. It was before with Taylor. His name was John. But I always appreciated that sometimes it was just me and him. Sometimes it was me and him and his wife. Sometimes it was me and him and his kids. Sometimes it was me and him and his kids and his wife. And it was like a regular thing that they did. This is what we do. We go see a movie. That's what when I was growing up. As soon as I could drive a car, I was in the movie theater in Greenwood, Indiana, a couple nights a week because they had like $1.50, 75 cent, and $1.50 movie night, and every now and then you could go see three like great flicks for like $5. Yeah, it was like cheaper than going to see a single film, um, and that was like the place to be when I was in high school. That's where all my friends and I hung out. I'm sure it's still the spot. It's by my best one of my well, it's by my best friend's business. So it's like I found self care when I was being bullied, and when my high school was being bullied. I found self care. I found find close friends, do stuff to take your mind off of this. There's a reason I play video games, and um, I'm always thinking and counting down to the next sporting event I'm gonna watch or attend. Or want to, for a long time I went to music events, whether that's a music festival or a concert or just a show in a bar, because I wanted to be able to look back on my life and say, I didn't sit around feeling fucking sorry for myself. I went out and I did what I thought would enrich my life experience the most. I went and saw live music. And now, that isn't to say that I didn't work. Like, I worked a lot of those events. I was security. Look at me. I look secure. So, for over a decade here in Indy, if you was at a show and you saw me, there was a really good chance I was about to throw that motherfucker off of that speaker for dancing on that fucking speaker. You're pissing me off. And that's because they're paying me to do that. Yep. So yeah, if you ever come to Indy and you go to the Murat, or you go to Lucas Oil, or you go to the fairgrounds, or you go to the Mousetrap, or you go to Deer Creek, I was security there for a long time. Never had a single issue. You ain't never seen me in a paper. Uh-uh. So yeah, if you've learned nothing from me, what keeps your head above water is your willingness and ability to put yourself first. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that all the time. Um, but you should. God, you're important to you, man. How you feel about you is it's the whole game, you know? I get down. I get down. I have absolutely no reason to be down ever. I'm fucking awesome. Her name's Taylor. Har har. But Every now and then I get down, I have to remind myself the most impactful thing that I'll ever do is found the American Socialist Party. Peace to those men who plant trees whose shade they'll never sit under. Right? To me, that's what the American Socialist Party represents. The tree that I plant that I may never sit under its shade. Uvalde School District is about to expose a bunch of its police officers by releasing a trove of records about the Robb Elementary massacre there in Uvalde, Texas. You know why I'm not religious? Why it was so easy for me to leave the church? Mr. Emerson. When I was going through high school, there was a teacher that everyone was kind of eyeballing. And he went to my church. Um, the only thing I ever think about him is that he's the only person I know that can make a handshake uncomfortable. That could give you a pat on the back and it make you feel uncomfortable. I never said anything. It's not like he assaulted me. He just like a handshake with the elbow tug, and you're just like, what the fuck, man? Or a clap on the back and just a little too long, and then the pat with the other hand, and you're just like, ah, come on, dog. Like, stop touching me like that, you fucking weirdo. He got asked to step down and retire while I was in high school, and there were a lot of questions about his actions. And I'll never forget, like, after he stepped down, he spoke at our church, and our church was, like, propping this guy up that had basically been forced to retire because he made a bunch of kids uncomfortable. And I'll never forget that, like, my pastor and our assistant pastor, they tried to use that as a vessel to explain forgiveness to us. And it was just like, nah, fam. Like, I don't want him anywhere near us. And I was like an adult at that point. I'm like 18 years old. I'm having to stare down my pastor and co-pastor and say, bring your ass to fucking youth group if you're going to tell us who the adults are going to be. We get it aside at some point that this is not our leadership. This is not who we want in around us or in charge of us. And oh, the Emersons have been a stalwart. Blah 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 blah. I don't give a shit. That all changes when you lose your job for being fucking weird with children. And a lot of grown ass men told me I was never gonna have friends because I'm too hard on people, and that you didn't learn grace and forgiveness from the gods you serve. And I now, many fucking moons later, realize those grown men were just protecting a pedophile because they've probably done similar shit or worse, and we're just making sure that we weren't too harsh on him, because then, God forbid, that fucking glare turn your way, right? And I want to remind you remind you that same fucking church that next summer, after they not fired, but asked Mr. Emerson to retire in shame, that next summer, I went to college, and my roommate was part of our youth group at church. And within 90 days of moving into Purdue, he raped a girl and got kicked out. and went back to that church and said that he and I disagreed politically, and that's why he left Purdue. So yeah, real easy to lose your faith with that 18 months, a year. I call it a year. Call it a year. About a year of my life. A family, a man that was a very close to me. Like he was affiliated with the Boy Scouts. Now he wasn't in my troop. I was part of a different troop, but I still saw Mr. Emerson at like the local meetups and stuff like that. And mhm. Yep, yeah, weird, touchy feely. Sure. Sorry, TikTok. My brother-in-law would visit one in jail from his church. So I can kind of empathize, not with people breaking because the person in charge is a pedophile, because it happened, you know? There were a lot of girls that I was friends with in high school who put me on to watching Men's Eyes. And so there were these girls, the Silvers, Amy, and I can't remember the other one, but they would like sit real close to me, and they'd be like, Jared, look at his eyeballs, and you'd be looking at like your assistant pastor's eyeballs, and watching him look at every young girl's chest in that room. And by the time he'd get to the girl sitting next to me, she'd be like this, and he'd startle and disappear. And she'd just look at me, and I look at her like, the fuck? So I left and never came back. I dodged a lot of bullets. Like recently, I have had to stomach abuse counselor telling me that my dad spanking me when I was a child is a form of sexual abuse. And I had never seen it that way. I had always seen it, corporal punishment is a failure of parenting. Um, and them say, taking you down in the basement, bent over, pull your pants down, I'm gonna smack you on the ass and shit. It's weird. And you're like, oh shit. Like, yeah, it's weird. You say he pushed you down the stairs too? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, he was gonna kill you. Yeah. Probably thought that pushing you down the stairs was gonna kill you. And you know too much. That's why. So what happened when you were a little kid? Apparently, my old man sexually abused me uh, by spanking. His spanking method was just fucked up. Hmm? He like he like shaved a 2x4 so that it would have divots, so that when he hit me, it created blisters. Hmm? And my whole life, whenever I told anyone about it, they were just like, "Oh, that's how your parents punish you." And like, yeah, my mom makes me stand in the corner. Hmm? Hey, cat. Somebody said, "What the fuck did I just walk in on?" So the Supreme Court formally asked to overturn same-sex marriage, and I just saw it as a factory reset spanking. Hmm. I never, I never saw getting spanked as abuse. Um, my dad did hit me in the face with closed fists. I think that is a form of physical abuse. Hmm. But yeah, when I was a little kid, I never thought that spanking was SA. Hmm. Until I talked to a crisis counselor who let me, or not a crisis counselor, stress management counselor, and they were explaining like, one of the things that we have a problem with is that certain things that are absolutely SA, people can't accept as SA because they don't have a solution that doesn't involve that. Hmm. Hey, it's our 9 month anniversary, so we were kind of bullshitting. There was a shooting at a Target in Austin, Texas. Yeah, yeah, getting hit and punched and pushed. Those are physical abuse. Hmm. Yeah, happy anniversary. Look at this billboard between Waco and Temple, Texas. Hey, look at the Italians. Hey, look at the Italians. Hey, look at the Italians. Italian dock workers block the passage of a Saudi ship carrying arms for Israel. Here's a German news outlet. Here's a German news outlet calling the Al Jazeera journalists that were just slaughtered by the IDF terrorists. Oh, by the way, people are uh, saying stuff like, at least they're letting them airdrop supplies to these women and children in Gaza. And I want to point out that airdropping supplies has consequences. Like the video in the comments right now, you can watch. Uh, I'm not a strong person. I have PTSD. It's completely different. My emotional regulation is broken. It's the way I'm able to sit in front of you every day, cold, and just talk about this shit, is because clearly I'm fucked up. Because look at everybody around me is fucking crashing the fuck out. I think a lot of people have had delusions of grandeur and they think that they're more influential than they are. Chris Valenti, crashing the fuck out. Your ego will be your downfall. I'm not strong. I'm fucked up. Being able to say I'm not strong. I'm fucked up is what makes you strong. We are powerful, more powerful than we could have ever fucking imagined. All right, so I don't know if we saw this, but a judge has rejected the Trump administration's request to unseal the grand jury testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. So, see, if we're not careful, this sort of authoritarian rule is what we could where we could end up. An Islamic court in Indonesia sentences two men to public caning. That means getting hit in the butt and upper legs and lower legs with a cane over kissing and hugging in public. Two men. Hmm. They're punishing gay love. And a lot of people are like, everybody should have their freedom of their religion. And I want to continue to point out that the right to extend your fist ends at another man's face. So you can have your deity and your beliefs, but the moment you try to push that on someone else, you've overstepped your bounds. It's not what we're here for. The United States was founded on the principles of religious freedom, freedom from religion, freedom of religion, not free to force your religion on everyone you meet. So I just want to continue to point that out. Jesus fucking Christ. And they say women shouldn't be leaders because they're too emotional. I want to point out that the President of the United States has had multiple journalists arrested, has had multiple men and women arrested for speaking out against him. Hmm? Yeah, talk about a snowflake. Good shit, you Patty. And I also have dogs, and dogs are one of the major reasons I'm here too. And I say that as an Indian court orders the removal of thousands of stray dogs, and all that means is thousands of dogs are going to get killed. And dogs are better than people. We don't deserve dogs. It should be dogs and octopuses running the world. I have seen dogs be more kind than I've ever seen a human be. The UK police arrested more than 500 people protesting pro Palestine. So, I want to make sure we spend some time every day saying Free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. And remember, the entire reason that the genocide in Gaza at the hands of the IDF has continued to happen is because Donald Trump and a bunch of other rich people want to build a resort in Gaza. Donald Trump sees Gaza as the Riviera. As far as he's concerned, the IDF is just clearing out an area he's going to build. And in order for him to be safe, he needs Israel there to build a military base and support him with their Iron Dome. And then a bunch of other billionaires have realized that's probably the only place they'll be safe to. And just so we're saying it out loud, I fully expect that Donald Trump unalives here shortly. And ultimately, I expect his kids to try to build a resort in Gaza. Hmm. Like when enough is enough. I think September 2nd, it's a Tuesday, it's my day off. I can actually attend protest. I haven't been able to. But on September 2nd is probably the largest mass protest in U.S. history, I'm guessing. Hmm. That said, you know how it is. Every show we say join a union. Okay, I joined a union. Now I work in finance. It's like the Wild Wild West for me, but I joined Work in America. Okay, look into protest, boycott, and strike. Yeah, they've said octopus is organized enough a species that it could create a thriving civilization if it weren't for humans. Hmm. It's just, I mean, it's just true. Like you don't have to like it. It's true. But yeah, the September 1st. I thought it was on the 2nd. Why the fuck would you have a protest on Labor Day? I fucking hate it. It was on the 2nd. Fuck my life. Am I wrong? Fuck. I guess I'm probably working on Labor Day. Am I fucked up? I thought there was a protest on the 2nd. September 2nd was the largest protest in history, right? I'm gonna look it up. Sorry. Um, I'm already on the 30th. Hold on. Is there not a fucking protest on the 2nd? Am I just an idiot? Alright, we'll just say I'm an idiot. Second's the DC protest. My bad, dog. So this week and so this week, 2 more weeks for a 3 day weekend. Yeah. And you know, I've been working full time for the better part of 20 years. I don't know how people do work overtime. I I know that you work it to like make more money. I'm fucking exhausted after 5 8-hour shifts a week. Like I woke up today exhausted and was like, God damn, I'm tired. Let's look at the weather before we get out of here. Please tell me it's calm. Please tell me it's calm. I hate seeing it. And it's like we're late. We're like late to a park.
This is dope tech from Wix.
Fuck man.
It feels more like 83. The air is thick and still, y'all, with mostly cloudy skies
Ooh.
overhead. The good
Y'all bot just said the air is thick.
rest of your Tuesday, you're going to want to keep that umbrella handy.
It looks like
It's
Atlanta.
high near 86, but the main story is the rain.
Yeah.
You've got a 60%
Bunch of
chance
rain
showers and
on the right coast.
especially after 11 a.m. It's just one of
East
those
Coast.
steamy South Carolina summer days. where the
Steamy
heat
South
builds
Carolina
and the
summer day.
skies can open up. You might see about a tenth to a quarter of an inch.
Quarter of inch of rain tops.
Parks over you. That
I'm talking
happens
from
the storm chances
Mississippi,
with a low
Tennessee, Virginia
and for your
east.
Wednesday, we're gonna do it all over again, but turn up the heat just a touch.
It's going to be even hotter on Wednesday
With another 50% chance for
and
those
more
afternoon
rain.
pop-up showers
And again,
and
that's
thunderstorms.
from basically
It's
like
gonna be another
Mississippi,
feel in the
Tennessee, Richmond
Looking ahead
east.
to Thursday, it's pretty much
Going.
a repeat performance.
I need a wider
We'll see a
map
high
shot.
near 90 again, with a slightly lower 40%
The weather
chance
intensity
for
score
those
is a little higher than
afternoon
normal,
storms. You
so I
might
did
get a
notice
little more
that.
sunshine in the morning
They spend too much time on one spot. There's a flash flood warning. It looks like Jack, Texas. Yeah, there is. I mean, there is a hurricane off the right coast. Who fucking knows? I see her out there. Holy shit! Massive fucking storm. We need to back up. God damn it! There's a massive storm. Golden Meadow. I don't even know where this is now. There's a flood advisory. Grand Isle, Louisiana. Jefferson, Lafourche. Excessive rainfall. Holy shit! Hold on. Oh my god. Oh my god. One, two, three, four, five. The entire left side of the country is on fire. All right, so look, big ass flames like all the fuck over New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Nevada. And and California is on fire. And Idaho and Oregon and Washington are on fire. And is that Wyoming? Wyoming is on fire. Now, as far as wet weather, uh, eastern, south, south and east Minnesota is gonna get some rain today. Uh, the Michigan fucking mitten, your shit is wrecked. There's a major storm looking like it's hitting northwest Michigan up on the mitten. There's some light. Holy shit! It looked like maybe we might have lightened up on the middle part of the country. They've been getting goat fucked lately. There's some rain in near Dallas, up through Oklahoma City. A little rain across Kansas. A little bit in Missouri. A little bit in Illinois, and then holy fuck Alabama. Let's just call it what it is. Alabama's having a bad day. They're what looks like two systems on top of each other pushing through Alabama. And again, there's a massive weather system in what looks like the Carolinas. So Carolinas, you're fucked. And then, like I said, there's a big in the Gulf. There's a storm hitting the toe of Louisiana. So all those fucking islands, and it's pushing up through Alabama. So yeah, there's your static weather report based off a AI bot. Make sure you pay attention to y'all bot. Yeah. Gonna be some flooding today in the south. Um, Anytime, I always think about, people are just gonna die in these places that have shitty infrastructure, like southeast Louisiana and southern Alabama, up into central Alabama, are some of the worst, most least educated, least prepared people in the United States. No, if all offense not intended. It's just these places are not great. And one of the things I learned recently that made me real sad, when a major storm hits an area, it never recovers. So that storm in western North Carolina that FEMA all those people got fucked out of FEMA funds. Yeah, that whole area in North Carolina is basically unlivable. They say like New Orleans never recovered. All these places never recovered. They just become unlivable. I always say that about Alabama. Holy fuck. Yeah. Jesus Christ. As long as you don't take the house, I got this. Yeah, right. So, have a good rest of your day. Control what you can control. Care for yourself more than you care for this regime. Know they're gonna do some fuck shit, and every day is an escalation upon the prior. But understand on the whole, it's just loser behavior. I see a lot of people crashing out, though. A lot of people starting to crash out. Rachel Maddow in fucking tears on television. Fucking fascism's here, authoritarianism's here. No fucking shit. No fucking shit. It's not. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react to it. Have a good day.